Video. Hello, we are live once again. Hi there, everyone. It's Azure Greg here again. And tonight I'm speaking with Adam Jackson, so I'm not even going to speak any longer. I'm going to introduce Mr. Jackson. How are you?
Hi, Greg. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you. I've always wanted to have you on something like this, and I thought I need to get Adam on. He's
I
finally here.
jumped at the chance. I think
Yes.
I've scheduled this while I was on holiday. I was like, I've got to do this now.
Oh, really? Ah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where were you on holiday?
I went to Switzerland and Italy. I do a road
Oh,
trip there every year. So yeah, think sort of, James Bond movie where they're going down the Alps and there's that hotel.
nice.
That sort of place.
I can envision just you doing that in the car with the roof down.
Just, just without the Aston Martin. Yeah.
But ask what kind of car was it?
No, it
Brilliant,
wasn't that.
brilliant. Good. So it was a nice time.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time. Thank you. It's a great time to check out, but I sort of left the country, left the UK, feeling quite chilled, and thought, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is great. I don't have too much on." I came back, and the inbox had gone like woof, and still hasn't
400,000
recovered.
emails.
Yeah, yeah.
How was the weather? You didn't get any of this mad 45-degree heat, did you?
No,
No.
actually, it was. Do you know what? It was very much like what it is here. To be
Like,
honest with you, and that's what it's supposed to be like in the Alps, right? You're sort of you're on holiday, and one of the things I always have to reconcile is I stay in this hotel, and it's sort of on the bottom of the valley, and you think, oh,
uh-huh.
I'm really low down, but you're actually like 1,300 meters
Yeah,
high,
miles up.
even though you're in the bottom of the valley. So it should be cold there, and it snows until sort of March, April. We're
Mhm.
actually there in March. Ironically, it was actually hotter in March
Oh,
than
really?
in the end of June.
Oh, well.
But yeah, it should be sort of low 20s, and you should expect some rain, and that's part of the fun. Although I didn't, I came down the Stelvio Pass, which is reasonably famous road
Mhm.
over the just on the Italian-Swiss border, and we had hailstones the size of golf balls, so we had to take refuge in one of those little tunnels. So
Ah,
I didn't
nice.
appreciate that. Otherwise, perfect.
Good. And how was Italy? Was that nice?
Yeah, Italy's great. I mean, I thoroughly recommend the Italian Alps to anyone that enjoys
Like,
beauty. You've got it all there. You've got the lakes, you've got the mountains, you've got the forests. It's just, it's beautiful, and it's also so much cheaper than Switzerland. You want to
yeah.
buy a pizza in Switzerland, it's going to be like 25 Swiss
Free
francs
mortgage.
as well, about 20 quid. And
Oh,
then
wow.
you go just a few miles over the border to Italy, and suddenly it's €9, about 8 quid,
Oh, that's more like it.
£8.
That's more like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just
and
drive through
yeah,
Switzerland and keep going and enjoy the
yeah,
view.
yeah, yeah. Just got
Cool.
to deal with the Italian drivers. So.
Yeah, so you're on, and I wanted to ask you about your career. We
Yep.
obviously your career at Microsoft and what you're up to now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it about that. So, let's start off with when you. How did you get? Did you start at what age did you start at Microsoft? Let's
I
start
was like
with.
10 or something. No, no, I was.
Are you what? 13
I
years?
Yeah, I started in 2010. So I would have been 21 when I started, and I did an intern year, and then and actually, right, so weirdly, everyone assumes that I sort of did a tech degree.
Ah,
And
okay.
I didn't I
You
didn't
didn't.
I didn't at all. In fact, I was really into technology when I was in my teens, and then it's a little bit sad really, but when I went to sixth form college, I took the computing AS level,
Uh
and it
huh.
was all about Microsoft Access. And
Oh,
I've not
that
got
put
any
you right
bad
off.
words. I've not got any bad words for the people that built Microsoft Access, but it was a long time ago, and I don't think it's been updated for about 20 years. And it really put me off. I was like, "What am I learning this?" I wanted to learn how to code or how to
Mm,
configure a network or something like that. And so I was like, I took a business pathway,
Right.
And I actually studied human resources at university, which has got nothing to do with my career, and I've never worked in that industry, but it was an interesting degree. And I applied to be an HR intern at Microsoft, and I didn't get the job. And then someone from legal and corporate affairs, as it was called then, called me back, and they said, "Oh, we think you would be quite good to do the community affairs job. Sort of
Oh,
different,
nice.
different sort of community to tech community,
Yeah.
more like working with charities and working with disadvantaged kids and stuff like that. So that was my in to Microsoft, and then I applied for the grad scheme, and I didn't get on the grad scheme either. You can sort of see a bit of a pattern here, sort of like setback every so often. So I came back as a contractor, and I actually contracted for 4 years, and I did a few jobs. I worked in Microsoft. Well, not consulting services, but sort of like the customer service and support division as a resource planner. So that was sort of moving engineers around Europe. It was good fun. Met loads of interesting people.
Oh, nice.
And then I did a time in operations, and then I got told about this job working for the Microsoft developer, what was then DPE, Developer and Platform Evangelism, and then it became DX. And they said, "Oh, we've got a job on the Windows Phone apps team." Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
I just wanted to know it. I'm not going to laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was such an amazing job, actually. And I know that I know the platform didn't work out. We had two teams. Yeah, we had two teams. We had one team that was working with the very biggest apps, trying to get people like Snapchat on. And then my team was the one that was just trying to get as many apps as possible on, and maybe that was part of the problem, is that we were focusing on quantity rather than. But hey, but what I loved about that job was doing the hackathons and getting developers to get. It was a very developer focused job, obviously. Getting them to build stuff on Windows platform, but yeah, we kept changing. I think we just moved from Windows Phone 8 to 8.1, and then eventually there was the move to 10, and there were so many changes for developers. So it was fun, but I think trying to keep up at the time was challenging. But yeah, I mean, great fun. And then I asked to be moved on to this little incubation team called Microsoft Azure in early, and I moved on to there in early 2015. And
are you working out of the Reading office at this point? Are you still?
Yeah.
Reading?
I was working out of Reading, and they were definitely the days where you had to go into the office. Every day, and it was so vibrant, actually. And I mean, you can probably tell from my accent, I've tried to hide it a bit, but I'm not from.
You're from the north.
South of England. Yeah, I'm from the north. I'm from County Durham originally, but I've lived in Berkshire, which is, for those outside the UK, is in the southeast of England, near London. And Microsoft's HQ is about 6 miles from my home. So yeah, it was great fun. But going on to Azure was probably the most, the biggest step for me. Yeah, it really was, and it's amazing what we were trying to do then versus what Microsoft's trying to do now with Azure. Because my first job on Azure was to get folks that had signed up for a trial or joined the startup program to spend their first $50 on the platform.
And what year was this roughly?
This is 2015.
2015.
Yes, this is 8 years ago, and
nice.
we were literally ringing people up, and sort of the same thing, doing hackathons as well, but just to get people to try and use some features and switch stuff on. And this was before we had trying to remember all the code names of the platforms, but this was in the old platform, the one that was windowsazure.com. Lots of interesting things happened at that time. We just,
that must have been good fun.
It was great fun. We had stuff. I can't remember, we had cloud services and things like that before we had app service, and and lots of people were using some very old identity stack stuff, and probably most of my time was trying to help people, move off of that sort of, the very early adopters of Azure back in, even back as far as 2010, where they'd, literally signed up. Everyone had just signed up with a Hotmail account, trying to get that sort of modern identity. It's interesting. Things that sound really basic that actually took the longest time to fix. But I had great fun working in that team. I don't know how I can tell you more about what I've done in the years since then.
Why not?
That was my start. So from there, I sort of Microsoft's developer experience team went away, so I actually moved to working with partners, but like ISV partner software companies mainly. So still working with developers. And then 2019, I moved to Microsoft's DevRel team, so which is part of the engineering team, and there that was when I sort of went from working with developers, but really trying to help from a customer perspective to going pure community. So 2019 was when I made that switch, I did 2 years in engineering, 2 years. I used to sort of joke about this, about 2 years in marketing. I'm probably the least marketing manager. Yeah. It's one of those things where I changed teams, the job just stayed exactly the same. So it was really helping to build communities, but they just, I don't know, the person that paid the bill was different from.
A little surprise for you.
Oh, yeah! I knew you'd come. I knew you would.
I almost drove to your house. And like knocked on your door and be like, "Hey, I'm here." Adam,
I've got space in here.
we could have made. I could have brought.
You sat the couch.
We had a party, and Frank the sausage dog. So
yes, Frank the dog. Yeah, he was here earlier as well. Awesome. But I've had to send him home because it was a nuisance. But
so I wanted to, you come on and kind of tell us all the stories about Adam that doesn't want everybody to know about it.
You know what? Adam and I have. What have we've done so many events together now, like so many events. So I'm going to start with the good. Adam gets stuff done, like every time. He gets stuff done every time. My favorite memory of Adam was at Build last year in the UK. We were going live and they had us like running around and I'm like, I need a coffee. He's like, what do you, I'm like, I don't care. Just it's like, get me a coffee. And like, he couldn't even find me a coffee. It was pretty bad, but he did. He got me a coffee and I'm like shooting hot, searing coffee between like shoots. And it was amazing.
The credits were literally running. I think they were counting down 5, 4, 3. I basically threw this coffee.
And I'm like,
you gulped it down. You threw the cup back at me. Like,
it was just like,
welcome back.
We had days of rehearsal, days of like producers telling us what to do. And Adam was always there and it was awesome. So Adam and I actually have had probably more good times than bad. But I think, what else about Adam? Like he always takes photos. He's always behind the stage. And like if something wasn't going right, Adam was there. My second favorite memory of Build was, so this was like the first big Microsoft in-person event since COVID. And we only had like limited people we can come, but we got to choose the MVPs that came to Build on the recording day. And I remember going through all the people and we had all the names and we gave the producers the names and the like topics we wanted to cover. And John Lunn, i.e. Johnny Chips, was coming. And I was really excited. So the first thing that I did that was pretty dumb is when I saw John in person for the first time ever, because I've never seen him in person, I went to jump over the seats in the auditorium to see him, to give him a hug. And I literally landed in like 4 people's laps. I didn't plan my jump very well. Ending. And then we get John on camera and during Build, we have earpieces in. Now, Adam can hear everything. The producers are telling us stuff as we're speaking. So imagine trying to speak and someone's talking in your ear, which is amazingly horrendous for people to like multitask. And they gave us like 2 minutes with John Lunn. And, you're on camera. So I have to hide my angry face, which I don't know if I hit it. But they like cut the scene and went back downstairs. So back downstairs had like ran over. So we got 2 minutes with John and I stood up and I'm like, this is words I won't use in public. And I'm like, I need to take John Lund and we need to go finish her interview. And the producer clocked it, and Adam was like, I'll find a camera. And Adam got us a camera person, and we got another probably 15 minutes with John Lund on another special segment. But Adam made it happen. Like, I don't have any terrible stories of Adam.
I don't. When you said the good, I was like, oh, where's the bad and the ugly as well?
I mean, Adam and I have spent a lot of time together traveling. I don't tell those stories. Nothing illegal. No one's been arrested yet.
You usually find me in a bar, though, don't you?
We're always in the bar together. We're always in the same hotel. We're always in the same bar together. Adam's been to my house for tacos.
Yes, they were amazing.
Yeah, I almost had tacos tonight in honor of you, dear.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have any like bad Adam stories, but Adam.
No, I wasn't expecting any. Don't worry.
No,
I only said that to wind him up.
No, I have no bad Adam stories. Adam is literally my favorite human that worked at Microsoft forever, and that trumps Jeffrey Snover, that trumps Donovan Brown, that trumps Satya Nadella. Don't let him hear this, I hope. But and even Mark Rusinovich. Like, Adam is my absolute favorite human. So he's sorely missed.
I was just about to ask him who's your favorite ex-employee, but I thought that would be a bit rude because I knew you were
Adam.
coming up.
It's Adam. It's been the greatest loss to Microsoft is losing Adam. But
I think a lot of people in the UK would say the same.
Globally, without question.
Yeah, true.
But I'm fortunate. I live down the road from Adam. I can literally drive to his house in 20 minutes.
See, I didn't know that. You should have sat in his couch. That'd have been hilarious.
You never really leave Microsoft anyway.
I mean, I've been to Adam's house. He's been to my house. I mean, yeah, that sounds weird when I say it like that. I'm going to go rephrase that. Adam and his partner have been to my house. Anyways,
moving on.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what was the best role when you were doing Microsoft? Which one of the roles did you like the most?
Oh, definitely the 2 years I spent in engineering. That's actually where I met April as well. And I don't know how I don't know how I didn't know you before, but by reputation. But I remember going to Dubai and doing Microsoft Ignite the tour. And at this time, I was getting sent around all of these cities. And there were a few different jobs I had to do when I did the city. This is going to sound like really trivial compared to the, having to put talks together. But I had to make sure that the speakers had nice dinner, and I had to make sure that the communities were all happy. These were different times, friends.
Oh, wow.
These were different times. We had budgets back then, and I remember going. I think we went to the Four Seasons in Dubai.
Oh my god!
And I remember Ray Lyon saying, "Oh my goodness, you have to meet our keynote speaker, April. She is incredible." And then you made your entrance, and I was like, "Yeah, I can see it."
I made my entrance. I strolled through the door, and I was like, "Food and alcohol." I mean, I would say I made really an entrance. That was the first time we met, and that was a weird, because I was in engineering, and that was just bizarre. So I got pulled into Ignite the Tour. Which is how I met Gregor for the first time in real life, I believe, as well, was London.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Hooper, Mr. Hoops. You guys sat in on my sessions, and that's when my career took off. Like, no one knew who I was. And I was standing in for Abel, actually. That's how that all transpired. So Abel had survived cancer back in 2019 and just said, I don't want to travel. He's like, I want to stay home with my wife. I want a dog farm. I want to collect all the dogs. Will you travel for me? And Ignite the Tour is one of the things I did for Abel. And that's the only reason why I think I got discovered, because Abel's like, go do all these talks. No one knew who I was on Ignite the Tour, but I had rocked up to my first tour was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And
nice.
I didn't meet Adam there, but I met a few other people, and they're like, "Who's April Edwards? Who's she? She's just a stranger. Like, nobody cares. She's just an engineer."
It was meant to be. It was meant to be, because I think the thing that really made those events is that, I mean, everything was scripted, but April doesn't the one thing you need to know about April is April's never going to stick to the script, and people liked that. People could see that April was really telling them the truth, whether that was about, I don't know, the Azure fundamentals for the beginners, or whether that was a more advanced session on DevOps. It was like, when April speaks, you hear the truth, and it's, you know, not always the Microsoft script.
Yeah.
She's reading all the GitHub script, but she is incredible, and that's what I love about you, is that there's never, everything is true, and everything's very honest and grounded in what the right thing to do is for developers and IT pros.
And I think I stick to my guns, and that's how I've built my career. It's what the audience wants, what the people want. And I think when Ignite the Tour is an interesting one, because we were given the opportunity to speak at different cities, and we were handed the content. We were given a little bit of leeway. And I remember speaking to someone, I was like, I saw the talk, and I'm like, it was like a level 100 talk on storage and databases. And it was fine, but I had to put me into it. I had to make it mine. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I like to think that every time I do a talk, I put in something that where everyone can start from. Like, if you've not started on this technology, get started on it, but then something, a deeper dive. So that storage talk, they literally had me spin up an Azure storage account and scale it. I'm like, okay, well, you can also build a static website. So I added in my own flavor to the demo, and I was like, hey, watch this. We can do a static website. So anytime I did this talk, like, the beginners were learning about storage and the different types of storage in Azure. Level 100, super informative and very important. But then I could then tie in an actual like use case of why we would scale it and do all that. So I think that's always been, that's accidentally how I fell into this whole advocacy thing. And you're right, Adam. I've gone in and I'm still gainfully employed, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I have one flavor because I want to do what's right for the community and the customers, because they're the ones that pay our bills.
And ultimately, you're probably one of the calmest people under pressure as well. Although I think the thing that's the thing that, it's not that long ago actually, the thing that I will remember as the most stressed I've ever seen you is when we did the I can't remember what the event was called, but we did an event in a ping pong venue in London, as you do when you've when there's a little bit of budget to spend before the end of the month. And April was our star speaker. And but of course, you know what happened is it rocked up, and the display port on the Surface was dead. So and one thing about me, even though I worked at Microsoft forever, is I'm a proper Apple fanboy, which I do not have in common with April. So of course I had my Mac, and I had my backup Mac, and I had my iPad, and April's like, what is this? But you know what? Did an amazing presentation and a demo, even though you were using my Mac and you didn't have any tool. I didn't even have VS Code installed on that Mac. I had nothing.
No, he didn't. But to be fair, Adam, I own a Mac too,
And it's not plugged in.
It's a doorstop, actually.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful doorstop. It's a very expensive doorstop. No, but I think you're right. You had nothing installed, and I just ran my entire demo from a code space. I don't think that's the most stressed you've ever seen me, to be honest. That isn't.
No, maybe in a theater. I don't know. Maybe in front of others.
Oh, you definitely see me stressed. You definitely see me stressed. But yeah, I think on camera, I think actually the greatest moment that Adam captured, and I asked him for this the other day when we did, again, going back to build. Ignite was great, but I was stressed during Ignite. I think Ignite was probably my most stressed because we didn't have the setup we wanted. I actually asked Adam for a video clip that I'm hoping he'll produce soon, i.e. great, send it over to me. What
find it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest part of our job is showing up no matter what happens. You get on stage and you do your job, right? So nobody knows about my bad day. Nobody knows about the things going on in my real life. I'm just going to go up and do and teach and do the things that I need to do. And when we did build, there was a lot going on in the background, a lot. And Adam caught a very raw moment on camera. And I'm hoping he'll produce that soon, and we can get that into like a little video to share with the world. But I think it's very real life of what happens. There were tears, there were hugs, there was a lot of tears, and we had Kate Rosenthal on the sofa and Michael, what's his last name? I can't remember.
Wignall.
Yeah, Wignall. Like the two biggest people at Microsoft UK next to like Claire. And there were tears and like emotions, and they're just staring at us like, what is happening?
What's happening?
Yeah. So I think Adam's been there for all of it. Adam's seen everything. Adam's probably seen more of me in raw form than anyone else that I know.
Yeah, but you're a very authentic person. That's what I love. And that's always the people that I've enjoyed working with the most in the community as well. The people that really sort of say it as it is. Greg, you're one of those people.
I'm bad for that. Yeah, I get in trouble quite a lot.
Never known you lie about something that you don't like in Azure or anything like that.
Black and white. There's no middle ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that. I get in trouble at every job for being like that.
But I think that's why I've gotten away with it at Microsoft, because I haven't done it when you're in the MSP world. The MSP is really conscious of how they're appearing. When you're doing it on the Microsoft world or the GitHub world, if the customer's happy and the audience is happy and your feedback's good and it was a good mistake, you can usually get away with it. I'm still waiting for someone to like come knock on my door and be like, you're gone. I did a no recently, actually. I gave a keynote with a Microsoft colleague, and you're not allowed to combine GitHub and Microsoft branding together at all. There's legality reasons for it. We did. It was like the opening screen on the keynote. And he's like, what do you think? I'm like, let's roll with it. What's the worst that can happen? And I'm still employed. So, I mean, there is going to be more, of potentially, it's a minefield a little bit on that. But I think we were doing a joint effort, and we're trying to show that thing. So yeah, it's tough. I think on the MSP world, it's tough because you're trying to keep your head above water, keep the customers happy, and show your gold status with Microsoft. And it's tough. It's tough.
Going back to Ignite, for the two of you, where is your favorite place that you visited? Adam, you go first. Which city did you like the most?
I don't know, actually. I actually really enjoyed Dubai because I'd never been there before, and I didn't feel like I should have been allowed to enjoy Dubai, because my other half was like, you shouldn't enjoy yourself while you're in Dubai. But I sort of did, and there was we did Ignite there, but we also, I remember opening the Microsoft Reactor in Abu Dhabi as well at the same time. That was great fun, and just being able to be a tourist, because my trip was a bit bookended, whereas often you're in and you're out of the cities.
Yeah.
The places where I've been able to stay for a little bit longer, I've probably enjoyed the most. But actually, it's going to sound really sad, but the thing I enjoyed most about the Ignites was not all the different cities; it was meeting all the different people and sort of building up that connection, that book of connections. Because events can be stressful.
Yeah, come and go.
And once you'd sort of done 4 or 5 Ignites, you were like, right, I think I've got the measure of this is what Ignite is like now. Obviously that's the small ones, and the big ones are always different. But yeah, I mean, I only ever went to one of the big Ignites, and that was the one in Orlando in 2019, and I think it was like 50,000 people there.
I remember. I'll tell you a story about Adam there, right? So myself and Richard Hooper are standing in the queue. So we're standing in the queue to go to the keynote, and we're like 15th in the queue, because I've actually counted the people in front of us. So we're there at like 7:30 in the morning. And I'm like, we've got to get to the front here because we're 15th in queue. There's got to be a cut. And the woman comes up, and right in front of me and Richard, she pulls the thing across and goes, those 14 are at the front. You'll need to sit at the back. And we were just like, what? And then about 2 minutes later, we're sitting in and we're way up the back. And then Adam messages us on, I think it was on Twitter, I'm not sure what it was on. If you can get to the front, I'll get a seat right in front of Satya Nadella. And the two of us are like running through this hall in the dark. No a clue where we're going. And he got us sat right in front of. So I actually had hairs in the back of my neck. And we were just sitting looking at each other going, this is amazing. Front row, right at Ignite 2019. So never really got to thank you for that. I don't think
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I had tears. I tell everybody that story. I literally could have reached out and touched him. It was that close.
I'm so glad you remember that. That whole thing. The reason I had the reserved seats at the front isn't because I'm just really special and Satya wanted to see me, but we did this thing where we decided that we'd invite sort of community leaders that were from disadvantaged backgrounds or people that wouldn't normally get to go to something like Ignite, because you got to think, if you go to a big Ignite, you're going to pay $3,000 for the ticket, and then you're probably going to pay $3,000 for the flight because everyone else is like flying at the same time, and then you're probably going to pay $3,000 to stay there as well because the price of everything is obscene. So I think we took 25. It might have been more. It might have been more than that. It might have been 30 people from all over the world, and we had people from people from Africa, people where we'd help them get a visa, people from South America. We had some people from the UK as well, and it was really great. And actually, a bunch of those people actually got hired either in the Microsoft Partner Channel or even a few by Microsoft from that. So it was really great to be part of organizing that. But that was why we had our little reserved section up the front. But I think what happened is I think some people got lost on the way there, and then we hadn't filled all the seats. So it was like, right, okay, we can't have like empty seats at the front next to Satya. I was like, get yourself down now.
Amazing.
So I was just tweeting anyone I could think of, and I was like, you were literally the two of you were the first people that popped into my head because I was like, so remember, it was a big deal, and you were filming stuff like every day. You were doing like a video diary, and I think that meant a lot to the community as well. That you weren't just experiencing it, but you were sharing that as well.
For people that couldn't be there, and that was pretty huge. I remember seeing all of that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
What about you? What was your favorite venue for Ignite?
So Dubai was probably a standout as well. Like, you're not supposed to love Dubai, but I loved it. I rented a green Ferrari. I cycled the Al Qudra cycle track in the desert. Like, I went out and cycled like 100 kilometers on a bike, rented a bike. It was amazing. But Dubai was memorable because I had to pick up tracks for other people. So I had the first experience as an advocate. Like, somebody had a family emergency and had to fly home from Dubai back to the US. And they're like, can you take on these 2 extra tracks? And I'm like, yes. And that's when I kind of proved myself. But personally, for me, actually, London was my favorite. Okay. London was my favorite because I was giving I was given 2 talks, one on each day. The one talk I was giving on the first day, they're like, we've moved your room. And I'm like, okay, you now have the biggest room. And I had like 1,600 people plus standing room. There's like 2,000 people in my talk. And I'm like, holy snot, this is like the largest talk I've ever done. But what was unique about London was it was a hometown vibe for me. So I'm based in the UK. We had tons of Microsoft folks there. But before I joined Microsoft, my former manager, when I worked for Insono, which was called Attenda at the time, one of the MSPs, my former manager was in the audience. I had friends sitting all over the audience, and I was probably the most nervous I've ever been because I've never spoken in front of 2,000 people at once like that. And I never had so many friends in the audience. And I think that was probably one of my best performances because I had so many people there that had never seen me speak. And here I am, and just like in this stacked room. And London was just like being the cool kid. And I've never been the cool kid in my entire life. I don't know about that. It was amazing. Like, I remember I do a lot of work with Grey Matter, one of the MSPs here in the UK. So I went and did a event with them first thing in the morning, and it was like all day people. And then I did my session where you and Richard saw me like completely blow up my entire demo, but recover it. And again, those were being in a home crowd in London, I think was the most memorable for me in terms of like my personal, but professional. Dubai was it. Cause I just started taking on things that I'd never done before and nailed it because I survived, right? So
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, London was such good fun, and it was like that event. I mean, I think the average Ignite tour was something like 2,000 people, and in London we had 12,000 people.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and over 10% of those people were in my talk. If you do the math, like it was,
that's crazy.
Never in my life would I ever have clocked that, and it was cool, and it was cool to have friends there. That was amazing. So,
Adam, I wanted to ask you about your new job. Tell us all about your new job because I didn't get.
Oh, well,
it
is.
What's your title?
I don't know what my title is, to be honest with you. It is. I am the senior community project manager. I think I am whatever you want me to be. Basically, so I work for the Green Software Foundation now, and actually. I have my own company now, so I'm actually doing a little bit of work for a couple of other companies as well, and I'm going to be hopefully not tonight, but hopefully in the future, I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm going to be doing with some other organizations. But Green Software is my sort of main, I hate this word, main client, so to speak. I'm pretty much full-time working for them at the minute. So anything extra is like over and above full-time. Their mission is essentially to make software greener. And you probably think, well, okay, software is green because it's sort of in the cloud, and Microsoft tells us that that is green, and so does everyone else. But actually, it is estimated that software, and when I say software, I'm sort of talking about the combination of software that runs on your devices, network, networking that has quite a big carbon impact as well, and the data centers themselves, and it adds up to about 4 or 5%. It's quite a lot. It's more than no, not more than cars. I must get this right. It's more than trains, shipping, and something else. I need to read my notes. I need to read my notes. We did a research study, and it was one of the 30 insights, and it tells you what makes up that 5%. So I can't remember, but it is a lot. But the difference is, you might think, so that's more than planes, right? So you might think, oh, well, why? We criticize people that fly all the time. Why don't we criticize software? Well, we should criticize the amount of carbon that is coming out of software. But the good thing is we can do something about it. It's really, really easy to decarbonize software. And actually, if you go to Green Software Foundation, you'll find there's loads of learning and resources and patterns and things you can do, and particularly things like AI that are very carbon intensive. But you know what the number one thing you can do to help save carbon? Turn it off. Switch it off.
Turn it off,
turn it off. Turn it off. This is not rocket science. This is not just for developers. This is for all IT pros as well. Turn it off.
Turn it off. Automate it and turn it off.
Automate it and turn it off. And then yes, you can refactor it. You can you can use platform services rather than depending on VMs. You can make things more efficient. You can if you're building a website, if you're a web dev, please stop using GIFs. Use MP4s. They're so much better for the environment. Or do you really need all of that Chrome on your website, or can you just make it a bit simpler? So there's a lot of things we can do, but my specific job in the foundation is to build the community around that. So organizing all of our meetup groups. Well, not organizing, I'm trying to coordinate. We have lots of organizers all around the world that are really passionate about this, and they are building groups. There are actually 2 meetup groups in London. There's going to be one in Scotland very soon. Greg, I expect to see you there. Yeah, I will. And the great thing about Green Software, right, is that you don't need to be an expert to talk about green software, and it really does go hand in hand with efficiency. It goes hand in hand with cost saving as well. So it is the natural decision to make for every organization and every individual. But it's really cool because every developer and every IT pro can actually be part of not just decarbonizing software, but actually making IT in general more green. We can definitely do just a bit more, and it's not about being perfect either. I said on the at the start of the call that I have a bit of a thing for fast cars. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm going to try and do my bit to be greener. So yeah, that is me, and we've got we're trying to build out all of our learning resources as well, and we've got a wonderful newsletter. We've got a great person that writes that. And I'm just there to make sure that we reach as many people as possible and get people involved in what the foundation does.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing that? Is that 2 or 3 months you've been there?
Yeah. Started in April. So yeah, sadly I was part of the Microsoft layoffs, and I know. And I was very lucky that because I was doing it self-employed, Microsoft said that I could start while I was still serving my notice there. So it was very kind of Microsoft, and it's nice to earn 2 wages at once. That's also quite pleasant as well. But yeah, the great thing is
next time, Adam. I'm just saying.
The great thing is that all the sort of communities I got to work with Microsoft, the MVPs, the different groups around the UK, I'm still getting to work with them. But I'm also
Right.
I'm also doing more global as well, and that's nice as well. It's something I liked from previous work, was meeting people from around the world. So yeah, it's been great fun, and I hope that everyone has goes to just search for Green Software Foundation. You'll find out a little bit more about what they're doing.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, if there was anyone who I was thinking about doing community stuff, it would definitely be you. So that's good that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
When you go to Scotland, Adam, how will you travel?
Sorry, if I go to I will get the train, or I might go in my electric car.
Ooh.
Electric car.
I know.
You have to stop this 5 times, but yes.
I especially since I had to, like, this is like the saddest thing is I miss loads of people from Microsoft, but I can still talk to them, and I miss the work, but I sort of still do the same thing. I had to give my company car back, and it was like it had a really good electric range, and now I've got a car. I've got a lovely electric car now that I bought, which is got 150 miles range. But can you imagine trying to go to Scotland with 150 miles range? That's a lot of stops along the way.
No,
I actually, when I saw Gregor last, when was it? 1.5 years ago, Gregor, when I saw you in that October in Glasgow, my friend in London has an electric car because of the charges. Yeah, and it's when all the fuel hikes happened, and like everyone was out of fuel, so like you couldn't get fuel for love nor money, at least in the south of the UK. He's like, well, why don't we take I'll just give you my electric car. And I'm like, dude, we're gonna have scuba equipment out the gills. Like between the two of us, we had like 6 scuba tanks, all of our gear, and we would have had it has 150-mile range ish without all that weight in it. I'm like, we're gonna drive like 50 miles, stop, charge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to leave early in the morning. I couldn't, and you couldn't get more than 20 quids worth of fuel. So I drove up to the Midlands, and my car, even though it's not electric, is actually fairly fuel efficient. I drove up to the Midlands, went off the motorway, and was able to get fuel at like a Morrison's fuel station and a Tesco fuel station. And they didn't have the 20-pound limit. So once you get out of the South, that was the secret. But yeah, that's when I saw you, Gregor, like, my friend's like, take my electric car, but we're not going to get very far. So
yeah, they're not the answer to everything, and it's actually I am really into. So I was relatively new to green software, but I'm sort of quite into my green tech in general, and I've got like all my home assistant set up at home to take advantage of low carbon power, and I've been into electric cars for quite a while now, so. But they aren't the answer to everything, because I'm really lucky. I live in a semi-detached house. I have a driveway. I can plug the car in, but not everyone lives on a street where you can,
like I can't.
I know. Yeah, I don't want to say, but what you're going to do is stick a cable out the window or something.
Not allowed.
Like that.
So the council won't allow you because it's a publicly facing street. So yes. Yeah. So you're not allowed to run a cable from your house to your electric car because it would cross over the pavement, and that's public land. And that would be but they won't then provide charging points yet.
Yeah, and even if they did, those charging points would be much more expensive than you'd pay for your domestic power. So, and also depending on where you are in the UK, not necessarily that green either. This idea that electricity is green. This is like, we talk about this in green software a lot. It depends on where you live. If you live in the north of Scotland, then your electricity is pretty green because you've got all of the hydro and renewables. Whereas in the southeast of England, we don't really have any of that. We don't have wind farms because people don't want them near the house. We don't have nuclear because people don't want that near their house. So actually, all we really have is gas-fired power stations and and some offshore wind that's got a very, very long cable. So yeah, depending on where you are, energy can mean something different in terms of carbon anyway. So we should never just assume that by using electricity instead of gas or having an electric car instead of a fuel car that we are being green. That's not true, because I'm going to start getting into the science if I talk anymore, but it's you buy a new car, that creates a huge impact on the environment. It doesn't matter whether that's got a battery. In fact, if it's got a battery, it's up front, it's worse than the fuel car, much worse to the environment. But obviously, over the life of the car, you can offset that impact. But still, buying a new car all the time, it doesn't really work.
Make sense. No.
And
Yeah.
these green cars, are they any good in the snow and stuff like that? What are they like in the bad weather? Is it...
Well, do you know what? It's more. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of electric cars are 4x4 anyway. And if you put the right tires on, then if you should know in Scotland, Gregor, if you in the winter put your winter tires on anytime it's below 6 degrees.
Winter tires on.
Yeah.
So I went to a Land Rover Experience Day several years ago, and they gave me a Range Rover that was an electric. It was a hybrid, so it was half electric, half I guess diesel or whatever it ran, because most of my thought were diesel. But anyways, it ran off the electric for like several hours, and we took it off roading. And when I say we took it off roading, we took it down like 45-degree slopes, bull horns. We took it everywhere a Defender would go, a normal diesel Defender, the old Defenders. So the drivetrain on those were amazing. And actually, I don't remember what the range is, but I mean, I drove it for like 4 or 5 hours, and it was all on the electric power. So that was pretty amazing. So but it's hybrid. It wasn't quite fully electric yet. And again, you're right, Adam. It's buying another car. Like I don't drive. I make the changes by not driving very much.
Yeah,
that's more my impact.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? You can have great fun in an electric car. My old car, I should be careful what I said because it was Microsoft property, but I did take it on a drifting track, and it was there was a video. I was the passenger, my other half was driving. There was a video somewhere of me screaming as we go around the corner.
Well, so Donovan Brown has a Tesla that he races now in his retirement. Yeah. I mean, he's got a pretty awesome Tesla that he races. He's put racing tires on it and goes around the country and races it in his retirement. Like,
very cool.
They're definitely powerful and pretty fun.
Very fast off the mark, that's for sure.
Yeah, they are.
Cool. So, Adam, are you enjoying your job? Enjoying the new job?
I mean, I've got to say, yeah, right. No, no, I am. I'm really lucky to have a really good team, and it's a very small organization. Green Software Foundation is part of the Linux Foundation, so we're a charity. We've got I think I'm going to get this wrong, there's like 6 or 7 of us, but not everyone's full time. And the chair is someone called Asim Hussain. I think people in Microsoft arena might have heard of him. He used to run advocacy in Europe for Microsoft, and he works at Intel, but he's also the chair of Green Software Foundation. And yeah, he's a really inspiring guy, and there's also some amazing people around the world that are working and volunteering, but it's really made up of volunteer members, the foundation mostly. So organizations like Microsoft, GitHub, Google has just joined, or UBS. You've got all sorts of people from like the world of tech, but also from finance and energy as well. And it's volunteer led, so it's really good fun because you just get to meet all these people, and then you still get to meet with still get to work with Microsoft MVPs, and that's one of the biggest gifts, is to work with people from the community that really care and give their time over. And I get the same thing. So
just from what you said there, I just realised the Festive Tech Calendar this year, we'll use you for the sponsor. We'll make you our sponsor so we can donate money to the Green charity.
Oh no! Don't worry about us. We are actually we are very well funded, but I can definitely put out there some other charities. Green Software is a charity, but Linux Foundation gets its money from the big corporates. That's what's really important. Yeah. So if you are Amazon and you're not currently supporting the Green Software Foundation and you listen to this call, then please get in touch with me, because. Oh, and I've seen just on the comments from Carl. Carl, it is great to hear from you. Miss you a lot, and I will definitely come down to Bristol sometime and chat with the meetup. I would absolutely love to. This is the great thing. Is like I'm not at Microsoft anymore, but I still get to work with all these amazing people.
Everybody still knows who you are and where you are, so everybody can still get a hold of you and get you on podcasts and all that kind of thing. Hopefully, we'll get to meet up at some point again.
Well, as I say, there's going to be a Green Software meetup in Scotland. I'm going to come to Scottish Summit, even though it's not in Scotland this year. I think it's in Manchester. I don't know if you're thinking of going to that, Gregor.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to next week. I'm going to a big conference called We Are Developers, which I think is more than 10,000 people. That's in Berlin. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
meeting with a few. I think there's some Microsoft MVPs going there as well. So there's
brilliant.
even if I wanted to, there is no escape.
No, there is no escape.
GitHub will be there as well. I won't be there, but GitHub will be there.
Who's that from GitHub?
Martin Woodward.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who I've never met. Who I've never met in person.
I haven't met him in person either. He's now my M3.
Oh,
So my double skip. Yeah, he's going. I believe he's going. He talked about the other day. I don't know who else is going. I haven't looked at the issues log, but yeah, Martin will be there. Pretty sure he's there. 99.9%. He's sure he's there.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. GitHub will be there. Yes, we do have a presence there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good. It's good to be invited to all of these things, and I get to share my passion for for green tech, but also it's just good to catch up with all the people I know from my past work with Microsoft as well.
Yeah,
so, yes.
I mean, if you can definitely put us in touch with some charities, we definitely need that for the festive tech. I've not picked a charity this year, so we still need to pick one.
Oh,
we're going to fix the charity issues, Gregor, as well this year.
Let's not go into that.
We'll fix that for this year. We'll make that better than last year.
I need to start planning on that. Hopefully you come on that, Adam, in April. While you're here, you need to come on Festive Tech Calendar.
I definitely want to put, probably not me. I'll put forward someone that's well, actually, I don't mind appearing, but I will have to bring someone that's actually very learned in the art of green software that can talk about it with some conviction and give some real case studies of how they've actually used it. Because as you know, I'm the community person. I'm not the person that gets to build all this cool stuff. But
we never see Adam in front of a camera ever.
It does happen from time to time, but
rarely. Yeah. You dread it. Adam does dread it.
Oh, does he?
Like,
camera.
Well, I'm going as I'm doing a talk at We Are Developers, and I think I may be doing something at South Coast Summit in October if they're willing to have me. That is,
cool.
but yeah, I mean, the thing about community is that I've always been a bit more interested in helping other people, and it's going to sound really sad, but like I'd much rather have fun getting some amazing people on screen. And I used to do my own streaming show every couple of weeks a few years ago at Microsoft, and then and this was sort of quite early in the pandemic, and then everyone started doing it, and I was like, I don't really need to be the person on screen anymore. But I did what I enjoyed was actually hearing from other people, so not hearing, not necessarily talking myself for a full hour.
Yeah, I'm the same on this. I like other people to talk, and I just ask the odd question.
Yeah.
Well, Gregor, I have a quiz question for you. Actually, I can ask this of Adam, but he won't know. But there's a hint in my video. Where was the last place that I saw Gregor? If I can make that turn. I can't work in a backup camera world.
Fierce beer.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Edinburgh.
Listen Blues.
Edinburgh.
Well, the castle, wasn't it? I can't remember the name of the pub, but I know exactly where it was.
We went to Fierce Beer. We went to the other one that was pretty terrible. We won't name the name. A friend of mine recommended. I'd never been there before. It was not worth the trek. But we went to Fierce Beer, and I bought like 12 bourbon beers and checked my bag the next day or the couple days later when I flew back. But yeah, we were in Fierce Beer in Edinburgh.
Oh, nice. So, I'm not a beer drinker. I sort of like pretty much everything else. So
same, to be honest.
I love Edinburgh because you've got good gin, got good whiskey for later on in the evening. Yeah, there's lots of bars. My brother lives in Edinburgh. It's always a good excuse to go.
You should come up for the what do you call it? The Fringe in August. It's the best time.
Yeah, I'm not made of money. I can't afford the hotels in August.
Well, you stay with your brother. Can you not stay with your brother?
Well, on his floor, yeah. No, I'm too much of a princess for
that. Adam's potentially more of a princess when traveling than me. Actually, he's definitely more of a princess than traveling with me. When I was up in Edinburgh a few weeks ago, and as much as I love it, it's just so expensive. The hotels were so expensive.
Yeah,
I was given a travel budget, and I literally hit my travel budget because the hotel to be near the venue was super expensive to stay in town, and then the flights were cheap, but the hotel itself was like
the hotels in Edinburgh.
They're crazy.
I've sometimes even stayed near, at the airport and got the tram, which is like this. It feels like a lifetime on that tram. I don't know if it really is, but it just feels like it's hours. It feels longer.
Yeah, it's
I
half
think
an hour,
it's
but it does
because
feel like days.
it stops at every house in Edinburgh
15
before it
times,
gets to the
yep.
city centre.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to be
It's not-
green. I'm trying to be like, don't take the car, Adam. Take the tram. Be good. And then I'm like, I've died.
it does take a
See,
while.
that's why I stay in the city center and then I just walk everywhere. Because if
Mm.
you're taking the tram every day, you like can't go back to your hotel and relax. You can't drop stuff off. You're stuck out all day long.
Yeah. And
but-
then my brother lives sort of out the south side of Edinburgh, so the
Mhm.
tram doesn't even go there.
No, it doesn't
So
go
it's
there.
sort of then like, like the trek across the entire, the whole city. And I don't know anyone that's not been to Edinburgh that's listening in, but it is not a flat city.
No.
There's a lot of up and down. And if you take the wrong street, you end up going up and down and then back up again. But it's so much fun.
Yeah, they don't come in the fringe then because hotels are just like skyrocket as well.
They're
Yeah,
worse.
Ten times
exactly.
cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was there like right after the fringe a while ago. I was at the Microsoft office actually seeing customers, and it was like they just hadn't torn everything down yet. And I was like, oh, just a day earlier, one day earlier, and I could see it.
It's quite good when you go for the free. You go for the free comedy. That's usually quite good, and then you just put money in the bucket at the end. That's usually a good laugh because all the comedians are doing their test stuff then, so usually quite raw. It's quite good.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
we need to win the lottery to do a group trip up there.
Yeah.
Literally.
Anybody got
You're
any
a
holiday
million.
plans? Did you guys get any holidays planned? Anywhere nice?
No
travel
holidays for me.
plans? No? Too busy?
No.
Adam?
Yeah.
Adam
I've got
always
some-
has a holiday. Adam
I've
was
always-
literally like, why don't you ever stop by? So I cycle a lot for people that have not met me. I cycle past Adam's house on a weekly basis, at least once a week. Like
And
that's
you hardly ever stop. You need to.
because you're like, oh, I'm in Switzerland, or I'm in Timbuktu,
Yeah,
or I'm
true.
in
Yeah, I
you're
actually work
literally-
from home now. I've got no excuse. But
Yeah, I'm always passing on a weekend, and every weekend you're gone. Every weekend. So
no, I know
Yeah.
that's actually true. I'm actually missing the next two as well. So I'm going out to. I am heading at. Well, actually, no. I am at home this weekend, but I think we're going driving. So my other half works for Porsche. This is another contradiction to
nice.
my whole green life. And
Nice.
at Porsche, when it's your birthday, you get to borrow a nice car. So we've
wow.
got this ludicrously bright green Porsche at the weekend. So I assume that we are going driving somewhere. So I'm probably out of the house this weekend as well.
So you're going to be out Saturday? Because I am going to be swinging by your neighborhood again on Saturday.
I am going to be around on Saturday because I'm going to go to the vineyard.
The one that's down the road that I know of that I'm probably going to cycle past as well.
Yeah. I'm going to be there
Why don't I
about
just meet you in the
4:30.
vineyard and we'll drink and I will get an Uber home.
What about the bike? Will that go in the?
I can, or I could just leave it at your house. Then we just go to the vineyard.
You can.
And I'll do it
Yeah,
later.
I love it. That's a plan. That's
Okay.
a plan. I love this.
Yeah.
We're just using the
Hey, you don't think this would be happening today?
Plans. No,
So
that's
I'm not
fine.
taking a holiday, but I'm going to the vineyard with Adam and his other half this Saturday.
This is good.
After I
This
go
is good.
cycling for like 50 miles.
Yes, I'm pretentious enough to have a vineyard in the village. Right, so this is a crazy thing. So I learned that there's vineyard, they make a few different wines, but they're quite well known for making English sparkling wine. And apparently the soil where I live in Berkshire is the same as in the Champagne region of France. And the temperature and the average weather is the same now as it was 30 years ago in the Champagne region of France. So we make champagne quality sparkling wine. So obviously I have to go and sample some of that.
I have
my friend who works there.
Their sparkling wine before from that specific vineyard, and it's pretty stinking good. Like I was very surprised because there's another one up the hill in that other village, town, place with all the other folks.
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, theirs is not as good as the one by you, actually. But we should go taste test on Saturday and just
we should compare them. So yes, I will be around and we shall catch up. But then I'm going to Germany for We Are Developers, and I'm going to take a couple of days at the weekend. I've got family in Dusseldorf, so I'm looking forward to catching up. And then I have my American road trip in October.
Oh, tell us about that.
Where are you going?
Going out to Atlanta and then driving through via New Orleans and everywhere in between. My geography is not that great. Sorry for folks in the US.
You have to call it Nolans. Nolans.
Yeah. All right.
I have my step family's from Nolans.
I've been to the original Orléans in France, which is not actually all that great. So I look at it and I'm like, that's how I should say it. We are going to end up in Texas, and I have my uncle lives in Texas, so hopefully we'll catch up with him. We're doing a little bit of we try and do a couple of road trips every year. So yeah, there's my big secret is trying to be green, not succeeding very well right now. But
you could have a hybrid partner. Are you going to go to Café du Monde in New Orleans?
Absolutely, since you've recommended it.
I will give you a list of places. You got to have a po' boy sandwich, and you got to go to Café du Monde and have beignets and coffee.
Oh yeah. See, I was gonna go there to New Orleans. I was gonna go to New Orleans for I think it was Microsoft Ignite was gonna be there.
Yeah, it was gonna be there.
They canceled it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that actually.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun because Orlando's touristy. And touristy. New Orleans is amazing. I've never been during Mardi Gras. I've been like around Mardi Gras time, and it's insane. But the food is absolutely awesome in New Orleans. So yeah, I will send you some places, Adam. That'll be a fun road trip though. Yeah, I need to get out more. I also have to travel for work, so I haven't booked any holidays. Saying that, I might take a few days on the back of a few events, but yeah, I'm trying to sort those details out.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do that as well. I've got a work trip to Bilbao that I've just found out about today, actually, in September for the Linux Foundation's open source con, which is in Bilbao, Spain. Or Bilbao, Basque Country, depending on how your politics lie. I have friends from around that part of the world, and everyone has their opinion. But I'm really looking forward to going there because it is a beautiful part of Spain, and it'll be great to catch up with people from the open source community, and it will also be great to do some touristy things before and afterwards as well. And I get to meet people in my team that I haven't met yet, and that's sort of one of the best feelings as well.
Always good when you've got remote employees and colleagues, and you finally get to meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the person I probably work with most, Namrata, she does all of the communications and marketing work. She's in Toronto. Or Toronto. Are you going to tell me? I think you say Toronto.
Toronto or whatever. Toronto. They're in Canada. They're in America's top hat. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so really looking forward to that. And what about you, Gregor? We haven't asked you about you.
No, I've got a couple of conferences, so I'll be going to Express Live in Prague, and then Ignite in Seattle. Apart from that,
jealous. I want to go to Experts Live.
Oh, I should go.
Need to get Isadora to a speaking slot or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you could do that. No, you could absolutely do that. I'll maybe have a word with her and see what we can do.
I think she's like super efficient. She's had everything sorted for like 6 months now.
6 months, yeah. I was talking to her. She's like, it's all going well. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming on. April, thanks for coming on as a little surprise for Adam. But Adam, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you.
Thank you for coming, April. It's been great reminiscing.
Thanks,
like Gregor, for
down the road.
No, I find this is the only way I can catch up with people because I haven't spoken to a lot of people for ages. So I'm just getting all on.
I mean, I think that's the sad thing, Gregor. Like, I've been texting Adam. We literally miss each other all the time. And we're pretty much neighbors, and if you can't see your neighbors, then you have no chance, right?
Well, this is true. Everybody's just like, oh, you can chat here.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? The LinkedIn chat thing as well.
Yeah,
my friend's watching.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you both on. So
thank you for letting me gate crash and bring my beer. And
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just play a little outro video, but thank you all for watching. Let me just play that right now. Let me just end the broadcast.